Okay, so I got a little bit of a late start here. Viewer appreciation. We got grips going out tonight. We got some magnet lights from Amsoil and Russell Waters. Perfect. And there was one other thing. Oh, I've got it handles for the
Motor Showcase?
For the Moto Showcase.
And stickers.
Yeah, we're going to get some stickers for the Moto Showcase. I think that'll be good. And because I want to make sure you're on camera when both of us are on, I should probably do this. Okay?
Yeah.
And just like that, at 6 o'clock, we're ready to go. By the way, the fan was running from the kitchen and the smell is coming into this garage. What are you cooking for dinner tonight?
Bolognese.
Oh my God. Bolognese.
Bolognese.
You got nice bread?
I do.
All right, I got to start the show.
All right, Gino's under the table.
I'm all excited now. I'll finish the show in 15 minutes. Bolognese.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm Jerry Maddox.
And I'm Ryder Maddox in sunny California.
And you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A, hosted by Joe Abbate.
Want you live?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. I am your host, Joe Abbate. Along with me tonight, well, she's been along with me for like 38 years now. Susie, how's everything going there?
Very good.
Did I hear you say bolognese for dinner?
Bolognese it is.
Ooh, I can't wait. In the meantime, why don't you tell the viewers what we have going on tonight as far as viewer appreciation and stuff like that? Anything special?
So, viewer appreciation winner gets a set of grips.
Okay, from Preston Petty?
Preston Petty.
All right, that's good.
And what's it worth?
I got what's it worth taken care of.
You do. And then the Motor Showcase gets the awesome telescopic magnetic. What is this called? And it's got a light at the end. There you go.
You gonna make the light work or what?
How does it work?
I got to do everything here. Here. No, here.
Oh, I
There you go.
got it. There you go.
Oh my God.
Oh, this is like a laser.
Yeah, it's like a laser. Yeah, it's like a laser. All righty then. We've got it. Oh boy. We're wild here tonight. I want to thank the sponsors of our show, the people that make this all possible. Racer X, the International Motocross Museum, Motion Pro Vinco, and Full Circle. Serious Studios with some serious clothing. We're going to be talking about that stuff later. ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com, Preston Petty Products, and of course, Amsoil, the first in synthetic since 1973. We've been seeing some really good stuff from Russell Waters, and we've got some more stuff coming up. In the meantime, I'm going to play a little video for you here that Roy sent in this week. It's short, it's simple, but boy, is it a good idea. Let's take a look at that. And then I want to take a moment to also thank the show supporters as well. But we'll get to that in a second, right after we get done with Roy and his video. This is really cool. Thanks for sending this in, Roy.
Everybody, Roy Vanderveer here. Welcome to this week's edition of Next Time Try This. This is a trick that I use primarily when I'm removing engine mount bolts because it's very hard to be on both sides of the bike at the same time. And one of the very frustrating things about doing this is putting a wrench on the bolt and then making it over to the other side and removing the nut without the wrench falling off. So what I always do is I keep some of these rectangular shaped magnets around and you just slap it right on the top of the wrench and then the wrench stays put. So we can then go over to the other side. Get on the nut, and remove the nut while the wrench stays right where it's supposed to be. And then come back over, and we can pull that motor mount bolt right out. So next time you're working with engine mount bolts or any fasteners that it's frustrating to keep the wrench where it needs to be while you travel over to some other part of the bike, just slap a magnet right on the wrench. Till next time.
Thank you, Roy. That was a really good tip. I enjoyed that immensely. And Tyler McGregor, I'm sorry about the retinas. I hope they didn't burn out and everything else is okay. And we'll continue on with the show. I mentioned just a moment ago that I wanted to thank some of the show supporters as well, and I do want to do that, and here they are. We can see some of the names right here. Al Keith, Carl Word, Tom Miller, Alan Huey, of course, Jay Stoker, and all the people that are behind me here on the board. Thank you all for buying a shirt and having your name put on the board. We greatly appreciate that. It's $49.95 if you want to become a show supporter. And just until the end of the month, we've got some gifts coming to you from AMSOIL as well. I'll tell you about that in just a second. As I mentioned just a moment ago, Sirius Studios got some wonderful gear. Now, maybe some people were a little bit, not confused necessarily, but maybe you thought this was race gear. It's not race gear. They are making some race gear, and they're working together with Moose to get Kyle Peters some race gear and some others as well. But in the meantime, this is more of a lifestyle type of gear, things you want to take camping, gear you want to take on the beach. You've seen this stuff before. Okay, you've seen it put out there by Moose and by DG and FMF, and everybody's got a logo on, and you're pretty much just promoting somebody else's business. With this Sirius Studio stuff, this is kind of a lifestyle, outdoor type wear, quality, great fabric. You're going to love it. Check them out online at SiriusStudio.co. And this is what I was talking about just a moment ago. Russell Waters and AMSOIL has a little special going on. They're helping us out. $49.95, you become a show supporter. You get your name on the board. You get a Vintage Motocross Q&A t-shirt. But till the end of November, if you do it, you'll get 4 products compliments of AMSOIL and Russell Waters. Just type into the comment section, I'll take the special from AMSOIL. If you do that, it's $49.95. I'll take the special from AMSOIL, hot off the press. It's here in 30 days. The swap meet at York. That happens Sunday, January 12th. The night before that is the Potomac Vintage Riders annual awards dinner. Great food, great entertainment. On the roster this year, Larry Meyer and Jack Penton. Larry Meyer, of course, really the voice of motocross. He was really the first one to have a specialized show called Moto World. It happened back in the 80s, went into the 90s. He certainly was a voice of experience, and you recognize his voice almost immediately. In turn, before that, he and the Penton family worked together with High Point Racing. You'll learn more about that if you're at the event. Jack will be the moderator, and Larry Meyer will be the guest. I will be there live, and I will bring you live coverage through Facebook for that event if you can't make it. Get in the show description, follow the link to the PayPal Donate Now button, and donate whatever you can. We would appreciate whatever it is. Don't forget to keep sharing the show, whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. Whether you're on Facebook or you're on YouTube. I'm sorry, I just got a message across the board here. I had to read it. It's nothing urgent. Susie did mention that we will be getting some grips. So we'll be giving some grips away, compliments of Preston Petty products. We're going to hear from our sponsor, Vintco, and then we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A. So stick around.
I'm Gary Semix, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abbate.
Vintco, who already has a full line of vintage parts, now has air shocks that are an exact duplicate of the original air shocks so popular in the late 70s. So whether you're looking to build a full racer or museum showpiece, these shocks will give you that incredible 70s look and improve your bike's performance. These new air shocks are fully rebuildable with Vintco rebuild kits, and all shocks are hand assembled in the USA with all new components. Every component is brand new. Just like the originals, our air shocks are adjustable with 2 chambers, high and low pressure, giving you tremendous flexibility for settings of your bike suspension. The Vintco air shocks come fully assembled and ready for installation. Just add air or nitrogen. The kits include the manual and spacers. Visit Ventco.com to check out the air shocks and all that Ventco has to offer to help you get back on track and to keep that ride going.
Ventco, a longtime sponsor of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Be sure to visit them online at Ventco.com. It's happening in November, 20% off across the board at Ventco as well. And as I've told you before, if you order and it's over $200, shipping is on Curtis Leverton and the great people at Ventco. Can't figure out what to buy? How about a sleeve kit for your bike? Got them for Hondas, Yamahas, Suzuki's, Kawasaki's. They got them for just about everything. And at 20% off, well, just looking at that one for the Husky right there, $208, you save over $40 at Ventco. That's just this month. Thank you, Fred Hudgens. We really appreciate what you do for us here. Derfs, what's it worth? This is, of course, brought to you by Full Circle Racing. Thank you, Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing. He has all your rim needs, Susie. Nipples and spokes, lacing and truing, with applications for Yamaha, Honda, Suzuki, just about every bike under the planet, on-road, off-road, vintage, Full Circle Racing. In the What's It Worth segment tonight, this 1973 Jack Piner. It was sold on November 16th in Wadsworth, Ohio, and I am going to be giving away, I think we talked about this just a moment ago. See these stickers, these Vintage Motocross Q&A stickers? We got 2 of those coming to you. For anybody that gets the closest without going over on the price of this 1973 Penton. There it is right there. It's a 175. I will go through the slides as I read the verbiage. This 1973 Penton 175 Jack Piner is said to have remained with its original owner till it was acquired by the following owner and was in storage for a period during 2019. It is powered by a KTM 175 two-stroke single paired with a 6-speed transmission. The bike is further equipped with a Kickstarter, Bing carburetor, an expansion chamber, exhaust system, drum brakes, and a side stand. Jack Piner is now offered at No Reserve in Ohio for off-road use only with a bill of sale. Wire spoke wheels with 21-inch front and 18-inch rear aluminum rims wear Metzler tires and are featured with drum brakes. Wire spoke wheels, as they just mentioned, and they mention it again. Anyway, suspension consists of a conventional fork as well as dual shocks mounted to the swing arm. KTM 175 two-stroke single is equipped with a 30-millimeter Bing carburetor. The Kickstarter, the expansion chamber are all in excellent condition, and everything works just as it should. The seller notes that the carburetor slide sticks from sitting. Overall, this looked like a nice bike to me in the pictures. It appeared that it was very complete. Certainly a bike you would consider doing a restoration on if you were in the market for a Penton 175 Jack Piner, especially a 73. It appears to be a nice bike in real nice condition, as I said. Certainly worthy of a restoration. There's a last look at it. How much do you think this bike recently sold for? $2,000? $2,500. Not many 175s out there, guys. Loosen up on the dough. $3,500? This bike sold for $2,050. $2,050 on November 16th. And there it is. And if you want to get more information on that or see some more pictures, go over to the Vintage Motocross Buyers and Sellers Price Guide page on Facebook, and you'll be able to get some better shots of the bike. You'll see what's going on there and get a better look. And you'll see, I think you would agree, the bike certainly it was worth $2,050. Mike Sarkis got it?
Right.
All right, let's make sure we get Mike Sarkis's mailing address.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
And we'll be back with more Vintage Motocross Q&A.
Wow.
Mike Sarkis, congratulations.
Yeah.
Things are moving slower than molasses here this year. Oh, here we go.
I get asked often, what's the most important thing on Clunker? Answer simple, it's me. That's why I use Full Circle Racing wheels prepped by Tom McAllister. So should you. Watch this and learn why. When racing vintage motocross where suspension is very limited, your wheels can be the difference between winning or serious injury. We chose to run Full Circle Racing wheels because of the super high quality materials and the heavy duty spokes used. Prepped by Tom McAllister, I have the confidence on the track to push way harder through the rough stuff and the bigger jumps, knowing my wheels are going to stay under me. Hey, Clunker may be 50 years old, but his wheels are brand new, and yours should be too. Call Tom McAllister at Full Circle Racing today.
Thank you, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing. We appreciate everything you've done for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A for over 5 years now. And Tom's involved in something else. It's a raffle. You want to go to the Arizona Supercross? Well, you can do that. All you have to do is go over to the the Washington State Motorcycle Hall of Fame.org. You can buy yourself a ticket for $20. You can get 3 of them for $50, and the winner, who need not be present, is going to get themselves a trip to the Arizona Supercross. In fact, it's for 2 people. Round trip ticket, a night in a hotel, and of course, tickets for the race itself. It's a great way to see the Arizona Supercross. Thank you, Tom McAllister and Full Circle Racing. Next up on the board tonight, what do we have here? Oh, I know what I wanted to mention. Sunrise Vapor Blasting. Those are my parts right there in the picture. That cylinder head, those shocks, whatever you see, that's the stuff that Mark Farriester does for me at Sunrise Vapor Blasting. And I mentioned last week, too, that I no longer have a bead blaster in the shop. I got a compressor to run other tools, but I no longer have a bead blaster. Why? I put it in a box. I send it over to Mark Farriester. As soon as it gets there, he does it the same day, puts it back in the box, and sends it back to me. You could do the same thing. Mark Farriester, Sunrise Vapor Blasting in Modesto, California. AMSOIL, it's not just oil. They got a whole lot of stuff over there, including some lubricants, spray grease, silicone, all types of different lubricants. They've got stuff for your guns, all kinds of things like that, including octane boosters. Don't forget Tom McAllister and AMSOIL. Here's the problem. Brought to you by Motion Pro. Don't forget, Motion Pro still has 20% off across the board, Susie, on everything in stock except custom cables. That's Motion Pro. When you check out, go to MP9135. Tonight's first question comes to us from Louie from Swan Lake, New York. Joe, I'm having difficulty finding the paint to match Olin's shock bodies. It isn't orange or gold. What is it? You know, Louie, you got a good point there. And I went over. See, here's what I do a lot of times. I'll look on Facebook to sometimes find an answer to a question. And sometimes you find it, sometimes you don't. I did find something about Olin shocks, and it was completely incorrect. It had some mixture from 1985, and it really, really wasn't right. And you are correct when you say it's not orange, it's not gold. And the same thing goes for their anodizing too. What I went and I discovered, and I asked somebody who I know is an expert in Olins, and I got the pictures of the shocks. In fact, I have them right here. Here they are, okay? And as you can see, you are right. It isn't quite orange. It isn't quite gold. What is it? This is the color right here. 1978 GM Russet Orange. 1978 GM Russet Orange. It is a dead ringer for the goldish orangish color that is on those shocks from Olins, okay? And there you have it. Next week, I'm going to have questions from Alan Huey and Brian Webley and Mark Warren as well. I couldn't get them on tonight's show, but there were 3 really, really good questions, and I promise you I am going to have them on next week's show. We were talking about Motion Pro and getting 20% off across the board. Well, what should you get if you go over to Motion Pro? How about getting yourself a flywheel and rotor puller, which start at just $19.95? See it on Facebook all the time. How do I get the rotor off my bike? I can't get it off. What should I do? Oh, I got a puller. I got a Motion Pro. Yeah, go to Motion Pro and spend some money and get 20% off. Yeah, I can do this. I don't know how to get the flywheel off. You know how to get the flywheel off if you had the right tool. Go over to Motion Pro and get the flywheel puller ready before I lose my breath with all of you. You're making me nuts. Now I got to go to the IMM commercial because I'm out of breath over here. All right? You're making me nuts. Where's Dave?
I'm Dave Arnold. You're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A with Joe Abbate. We'll be right back.
Motocross struck America, coming from Europe like a lightning bolt, striking the hearts and minds of people all across the country and the world. Battles of intense racing and cutting rivalries with loyalty to brands and heroes intensified as years of blood, sweat, and dirt flew through the minds of those memories of champions as they wrestled their machines through almost impossible tracks. But where are those past champions? And where are their bikes? Terry Good, an ex-pro motocross racer, has made it his life mission to honor these heroes and the bikes they rode to stardom. We raced, we rode, we lived and breathed motocross. Go back in time and relive those moments, now preserved for the first time ever in the world's first museum dedicated to the history of motocross. Our new building is in the gate. Help us get a great start and you can be part of history. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org and become a part of our team.
National Motocross Museum is a not-for-profit 501c3 company. Be sure to get over there and get your moto gal or moto guy some stuff, maybe for Christmas, just around the corner. Go to internationalmotocrossmuseum.org. Yes, I got to get Susie on camera. You have to see this. Look at this. Look at this. Susie and her boyfriend sitting over there while I'm hard at work. All right. Let's get on to the Moto Showcase. Moto Showcase is brought to you by Preston Petty Products. Thank you, Paul Stainer, for all you do. Visit them at PrestonPettyProducts.com. And, of course, they have this new tail light. I've got one right here, as a matter of fact. I've got it in my hand. This is the Enduro tail light assembly. Here it is. You know what you want to do? You want to pair this up with that headlight assembly for the front, the one that you can recharge the battery with the LED headlight. Absolutely awesome combination. Thank you, Paul Stainer, for all you do for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A. This week, in the Moto Showcase, we have a very interesting bike. And JC Bacchus is the creator of this bike. And I have to say creator because it is certainly a little bit different. This bike is something he calls the XRM 200. The XR 200 engine put into a 2001 RM 125 chassis with an RM 85 fuel tank. Project bike built for the XR 200 class in Texas. The engine was built by Vintage Iron. Alterations include fabricating a new down tube section for the front engine fitment, shock bottle cut off and rotated and welded in order to attach the shock bottle on the other side since the carb was in the way of it. We modeled our rules in Texas after the ARX club in California. The only rules were the bike had to be air-cooled, 4-stroke with 230 cc's max. And there you have it from JC Bacchus. There's a shot of the silencer that he had on that bike, and he made up a lot of stuff. There's the 2 bars that he had made for the front of the frame. Here's some milling work he was doing on the cylinder. I think I had a better shot of that frame too. Yeah, here it is right here. Really, Sano, clean job JC Bacchus has done on this. And he's done some other jobs on some other bikes as well, where I've seen him put Yamaha 465 engines into Bultaco frames, and they look just like Bultacos when he's done. But here it is. I mean, look how absolutely neat and clean this bike looks from JC Bacchus. And I want to thank you, JC, for sending that in. And I am going to get you some stickers. I think that's what we said. We were going to get you some stickers, compliments of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Let's get on to the next segment of the show. Oh, yeah, we were talking a little bit before about Sirius Studios. Be sure to visit them online at SiriusStudio.co. And just remember, this is a lifestyle type gear. This isn't racewear, but you're off track, at the beach, out and camping. Really cool stuff. But they are doing something with some riders. And here you see is Kyle Peters right here. He won an event in Arena Cross last weekend, took a first place. Now, Kyle is a 4-time Arena Cross champion. And you can see on the sleeve right there, it says Sirius Studio. And he's riding a Honda and he's got some moose gear on. So Sirius Studio is out there supporting the racers as well as people and their casual wear. Oscar sent in a great video today. He's been kind of busy up there, or he's not up there in Canada. He's down there in Kentucky. But he sent us in a really great video and has been supplying us with a lot of content lately. I'm looking forward to showing it to you tonight. This is from when Oscar was at the Barber Museum event down there in Alabama. Of course, the Barber Museum, fantastic facility. If you've never been there, you really got to go. Acres of racetrack, certainly a motocross, and a whole lot more. Let's see what Oscar had to say and what happened down there at the Barber Vintage event that weekend.
For Vintage Motocross Q&A here at Barber Motorsports Park, just outside Birmingham, Alabama, for a vintage weekend. They have 2 swap meets. They've got road racing, trials, motocross. They got it all going on this weekend. I'm going to try to get some cool interviews, look at some good bikes. give you a show of the swap meet, and hopefully I'll put a good show on for you guys. So I'm walking through the pits here, and I see these beautiful red racers over here, and I know Joe Abbate loves his Elsinores. So I wanted to do an interview, and this guy has actually hit the trifecta of motocross. He's running Elsinores, which Joe Abbate loves. He runs full circle racing rims on all his bikes. You gotta love that. And number 3, the full trifecta of this situation, as this gentleman's from Canada, just like me, so I'm definitely gonna have an interview with this guy, and well, let's go meet him. I found the owner of these beautiful Elsinores, and you know, give us your name and where you're from.
My name is Jerry Hayes, and I'm from Alberta, Canada.
Alberta, Canada. Land of Ross Peterson.
Exactly.
The rollerball.
Back in the day.
Did you really?
Oh,
Good
yeah.
for you. And you're still here to talk about it. You didn't get punted over too much, eh?
That's right. I stayed well away
from the rollerball. So tell us about this bike, where you found it, what trick parts you have on it, anything special about it?
Well, this is a 75 CR125, and it was inspired by the J18 build for Brock Glover.
Oh, wow.
And Dallas Nyblood, he gave me the coaching on this bike to do some of the trick things. He didn't give me all of it, but he gave me a lot of the good things. It features a reed valve that was welded on. It's a Banshee reed valve here, and that was welded on by Charlie Brown from Oregon.
Okay.
Who worked for Brock. 34 millimeter carburetor. It has the
okay.
It has the advanced machining triple clamps done by the Bushies, and it sports 250 CR250 forks are on this bike.
Okay, bigger diameter forks?
Bigger diameter forks, bigger diameter brakes.
Okay.
It has the ASV levers, Renthal bars, and then in the back, it has a very special a very special swing arm by Carl Landers, KLP Racing.
Oh wow, he did a great job on that.
He certainly did. The PFR pipe.
And a Webco head.
And a Webco head. And of course, the full circle rims. And big thanks to Tom for making those rims happen for me on short order.
They look good. All right, well, I super appreciate your time. And you are you chasing points or just here to have some fun, or
chasing points? This is part of the ARMA series,
right?
And for me, I've got 2 more races.
Okay.
To go before the national final in Henrietta, Oklahoma.
Okay, and that'll finish. You have to do your best of 7 rounds.
It's the best of 7 rounds.
Best of 7 rounds.
Sorry, best of 5.
And how are you doing points right now?
In the 125 class, I'm in 2nd place.
Okay.
So that's going pretty well, but
okay.
It all depends on what happens this weekend.
Okay.
So,
well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you
all right,
so
man.
much.
Shiny side up.
Thanks for stopping by.
All right, man. Bye-bye.
They have it. Robert Oscar Pomeroy on location at, what's the name of the place in Alabama? Barber. You know, I'm reading, I'm moving things over here, and it's making me a little nutty. You know what I got to get, Oscar? I got to get him one of those longer microphones, like the one Gene Rayburn had on Match Game. Remember that? Like 14 feet long. It's like that telescope thing. That's what we got to get. That telescope thing with a microphone at the end of it. All right. Jeff Kokoski is back with a Did You? Who? Yeah, Jeff. He's back with a great Did You Know segment. You know, he's been doing a lot on carburetors lately, and he did one last week. Talked about the introduction of the carburetor way back in, I think, the 1700s or something like that, 1800s. It was even before that. Anyway, he has followed up with something called a Venturi. You've heard of a Venturi. It's big part of your carburetor. It's the main part of your carburetor, actually. Let's get to the segment that Jeff has written up about this week, and we'll see what's happening here. Jeff says, last week we talked about how in the late 1800s, German, Italian, and British engineers and inventors developed the concept for the modern-day carburetor. But did you know how the Venturi, the tapered tube making up the body of the carburetors, came about and why it is called a Venturi? But a little first about the physics lessons. In 1738, a Swiss mathematician named Daniel Bernoulli published a book called Hydrodynamica, which described his theories related to how fluid flows. Bernoulli postulated that when a fluid, whether it's liquid or gaseous, flows horizontally through a pipe, that the pressure of the fluid is inversely related to its velocity. In other words, when the velocity of a fluid increases, the pressure at that point decreases. By 1752, Bernoulli's family friend and fellow mathematician Leonhard Euler derived what is now known as Bernoulli's equation related to fluid flow and the conservation of energy. Very, very interesting. Now, how does this relate to the motorcycle carburetor? Your carburetor engine does not need to be a separate fuel pump to get the fuel into the cylinder because of the application Bernoulli had in his equation. If you look at the cross-section of a carburetor, and I'm going to show it to you again, I think it's right here. If you look at the cross-section of a carburetor, you'll see that the area of the intake end is larger than the outlet end where the fuel-air mixture enters the engine. When the vacuum from the engine is created during the piston upstroke of a two-stroke or the intake stroke of a four-stroke, it causes air to enter the carburetor at a certain velocity and pressure through the air intake end. As that air encounters the reduced diameter of the carburetor bore at the throttle slide, its velocity increases, thereby reducing the pressure at the point in accordance with Bernoulli's equation. Very, very interesting. The pressure at this point is now up below atmospheric pressure, and since the carburetor float bowl is vented to the atmosphere, fuel is sucked up through the emulsion tube and the needle jet and mixed with incoming air. The jet needle is attached to the throttle slide. It's tapered so that regulates the amount of fuel that is released by the float bowl as the slide moves up and down so that the correct fuel air mixture is maintained going into the engine. Okay? Now, this is Venturi himself, which it was hard to believe that there was actually someone named Venturi, but while Bernoulli is credited with describing the theoretical relationship between velocity and pressure as it relates to the fluid flow, it was the Italian Giovanni Venturi who in 1797 created an apparatus that actually showed the physical associations of pressure and velocity during the liquid flow. This became known as the Venturi effect, and the tube containing the restriction that changed the velocity and pressure was soon named after him. Venturi was a physicist, diplomat, historian of science, a teacher, and was even ordained as a Catholic priest. He was also the first to be recognized that Leonardo da Vinci for his contribution to science and not just the art world. But it was his discovery of the physical phenomenon that now bears his name is what he is most historically noted for. His discovery became an important concept of both theoretical and applied physics, influencing the design of carburetors, airfoils, paint sprays, aerators, injectors, exhaust fans, spray bottles, sandblasting nozzles, and fluid flow instruments. How about that? And this is really interesting. Jeff described it to me, and it's written over here, but here's the way Jeff put it. If you were ever between two buildings in New York City, like the World Trade Center, and it was a very, very windy day, but not so windy when you're walking on the street. But when you get between these two very big buildings, the wind really picks up. That's because the wind is being forced through those two buildings. And you may feel it either pushing you from behind, making you go faster through those two buildings, or of course, making it difficult for you to walk forward because the wind is pushing the other way. It works the exact same way with the Venturi on your carburetor. And once you get out the other end, it's windy a little bit, but it's not like forcing you. That is the same premise of the Venturi tube and how it works. Jeff Kokoski, once again, very, very, very informative stuff here. I absolutely loved it. I want to thank you for contributing so much to the show. We are going to bounce out of here for just a second. We're going to hear from ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. Susie's making me laugh with the dog as she feeds him some crackers and stuff. And we'll be back in a couple of minutes with a little bit more of Vintage Motocross Q&A. Enough with the dog in the studio and feeding them crackers. Sue, we can't have this.
Hi, I'm Paul Parkinson with Replica Motorcycle Parts. I'm sitting here with our test bike, which is ridden by Jerry Maddox. It carries the #1 plate in the US. Let's go over a couple of the parts that we've got on here. We've got our ignition cover with the case saver built into it, so that when the chain comes off, you're not damaging your cases. Spacer, foot pegs. Jerry runs our air box. Seat brackets, keeps the seat on tight so he doesn't fall off when he's going over the whoops. And then this side, Jerry runs a couple little things, a lot of little rubber parts on the bike and stuff are all done by us. And then down here we've got our brake pedal, which has got needle bearings in there, and then it's got a wider toe peg so it gives them a real nice, clean, easy to use brake. And then this is our latest part. This is a CR250 type knuckle. In fact, Honda used them on the last versions of the MR175s, and this is a real trick aluminum Kickstarter arm. So that gives them lightweight, strength, and reliability more than anything else. Reliability.
Thank you. Paul Parkinson Sr. from ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. We've got some new items here. You know, this was Paul's table last year at Canada. He could fill up 3 tables like this. There's over 350 items at ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com. Always a great special going on every week. Upper left-hand corner, you recognize that clamp that goes on your 1973-74 Honda CR125 and 250. It holds your silencer onto the pipe, $65. There's the air filter cage for your 76 through 78 guys. Gas cap for you Kawasaki guys. You don't want to use that nylon one, or you can't really find a gas cap for your bike. Get one at Paul Parkinson's, ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com, and that's not it. Got Honda Kickstarter stuff just like this here. Bolts sold separately, sold together. The Kickstarter knuckle. Paul Parkinson Sr., thank you so much for all you do for us here at Vintage Motocross Q&A and what you are doing for the industry as a whole. Paul Parkinson Sr., Vintage Guru, and ReplicaMotorcycleParts.com Kingpin. This week in motocross history is brought to you by Racer X. Be sure to visit them online, or you could buy it at the newsstand, just the way we used to love to do that when we were kids. Remember that? 1973, Germany's Adolf Wheel wins the Trans Am in Phoenix with a 2-1 moto finish, with Yamaha rider Pierre Karsmacher second, based on his 1 and 3. Another German rider, Willie Bauer, took a 3rd place that day. The top American is 7th place Tim Hart of Team Yamaha. 1978, on Veterans Day at Anaheim, Kawasaki rider Galen Mosier wins the one and only AMA Supercross of his career. Mosier, popular and respected among his competitors, holds off Bob Hurricane Hanna, then a dominant force in Supercross. Hanna had already clinched the title. It was also the one and only time that AMA Supercross win for Mosier with his longtime mechanic, Rocky Williams, who happened to be deaf. The two of them landed on the cover of next week's Cycle News in honor of the win. This is funny. I don't know why it's on Veterans Day. I take these by the week, and it happens in November. Is Veterans Day in November?
November 11th.
Oh, okay. Then it is correct.
Yeah.
1984. 1975, AMA Supercross champion Jimmy Ellis, an expatriate who emigrated to Australia, clinches the 1984 Australian 500cc National Championship at the final round of the series over 250cc National Champ Jeff Leask, then just a teenager. Ellis said afterward, "It really hasn't hit me yet. When I see that number 1 on my bike, I'll probably say, wow, I finally did it, because I've never seen a number 1 on my bike." Well, that is true, but Ellis won the 1975 Supercross title on a Can-Am. He did stick with the number 7, however. He never really went to the number 1 on the Can-Am, but here he is riding with that number 1 up in Canada. 1989, Kawasaki trio of Danny Laporte, Ted Honeycutt, and Larry Rossler teamed up to win the 22nd annual Baja 1000 desert race in Mexico. Very versatile, Danny Laporte. I couldn't find a picture of Honeycutt, Danny, and Rossler all together, but that was, of course, Danny Laporte. And I think Honeycutt and Rossler teamed up with Marty Smith one year too, and won for Kawasaki. Won the Baja 1000. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, it's right around the corner. Sunday, January 12th. The York Swap Meet. I will be there, and Susie will be joining me as well. Vintage Motocross Q&A sponsorship opportunities are available. Get a hold of me. You could be seeing some of the action that the people behind me are seeing. I didn't mean to be sitting here with my hand on my head like this. I just try to keep my head out of the picture. Oh, you know who's at it again? Al Roof. This guy's always raising money, taking people on rides. He's always doing something great. Thursday, November 28th, there is a Thanksgiving cold turkey trot. It starts at 8 a.m. at the Waffle House. Get a hold of Al Roof. This happens at 726 York Road, Kings Mountain, North Carolina. Thank you, Al Roof. You do so much for the people on road and off road. And it's just a wonderful thing how much you contribute and give back to the sport, both on road and off. What else do we have going on here, Suze? Oh, do you have to announce the
Your appreciation.
yeah, why don't we do that? And then I will I think I'm gonna wrap up because the sauce, the bolognese, it's got me punchy. So who won the grips?
It's Wade Owen.
Wade Owens. Wade Owens, message me your address. I will get you a set of Preston Petty hex grips, compliment of Preston Petty products, and of course, Paul Stainer. Thank you, RacerX, FastGuyStuff.com, and Benz. These are the people that help support the show. How do they do that? RacerX gives me an ad in the back of their magazine every month. Fast Guy Stuff shares our ads and our shows all over the place, and so does Ben Thomas from Ben's Mini Bike Podcast. So if you want to become a show supporter, you can do it. Get a T-shirt. You maybe get some stickers, get your name on the board behind me. You know, some news broke a couple of weeks ago, and I haven't had a moment to share it with you. I don't know if you know about it or not. Dunlop has closed its plant in Western New York. Why this is interesting, or actually very, very sad, is because this is the only manufacturing facility in the United States that made motorcycle tires. The closure was announced by Dunlop's parent company, Sumitomo Rubber, and will result in over 1,500 layoffs. Now, I'm not thinking that's the end of Dunlop tires in America, but I don't know where they're coming from. Will they be coming through Canada? Will they be coming through Mexico? I don't know, but it may cost you more. So if you see some Dunlop tires out there and it's your favorite size and compound, you might want to get them now because it looks like the plant is closing down in Western New York. Susie?
Yeah.
I think that's about it for this week's Vintage Motocross Q&A. And let's Gino, come here, Gino. Come here, boy. You're a good boy. Oh, boy, there he is. You're always getting the attention tonight. You got crackers and cheese and all sorts of good stuff.
No cheese, just crackers.
Oh, just crackers tonight? Okay. I want to thank you all for joining us at Vintage Motocross Q&A tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Next week, we're going to have some more questions on the air in our What's the Problem segment or Here's the Problem segment, and we'll keep going. Thanks for watching. Share the show. Congratulations to everyone who won something. We'll see you next time.
I'm Ron Lachine, and you're watching Vintage Motocross Q&A. We'll be right back.